Hey guys, I'm Cameron Rudin. I'm taking a break from my vape review YouTube channel to come host Next Week Now tonight. I don't know a lot about news, but I do know a lot about nudes. Am I right, boys? Woo! Anyway, on to the nudes. News. Jimmy Carter has been getting the hell beat out of him recently. No one is quite certain why God deemed Mr. James Carter worthy of physical torment, but we can only assume it's because of the crap he pulled back in the 70s. Lately, he's received many stitches and even a black eye, but is still out building houses for whoever needs houses, I guess. But Jimmy Carter has received far too many stitches for his own good. You see, we at Next Week Now predict former President Carter received so many stitches that he is no longer a man, but a puppet. President Carter visited North Korea back in the mid-90s, like that movie directed by Jonah Hill. It'd be like that, except instead of Los Angeles, it was North Korea. Additionally, Jimmy Carter would be getting shown shot in the head. That's right. Unbeknownst to the rest of the world, Jimmy Carter was shot directly in the head while in North Korea, with his own gun. Carter attempted to shoot Il-sung, as he was on a secret mission to cut off the head of the authoritarian snake, but ran to capture the dictator soon after firing. Carter's well-known and well-documented super speed allowed him to run in front of his own bullet and accidentally shoot himself. Talk about a series of copyright-free events. Carter's team knew if America heard that Carter was dead in the 90s, they'd all cheer so loud the Republican would become the next elected president. So they decided to stitch Carter back together with all the quilts, sweaters, and cloth that they could find. They built him weaker, more fragile, and boneless. Jimmy Carter didn't need stitches this past accident. He needed Muppet surgery. Muppet surgery being when any Muppet must have someone go inside them, but not through the preferred hole. The thread used to stitch up former President Jimmy Carter was actually an old shoelace worn by Adam Driver, notable Jimmy Carter fan. In a couple of weeks from now, a video will surface of former President Carter building houses with a hand in his ass. Although everyone collectively agrees God wouldn't allow someone like Mr. Carter to be so kinky, the world will know he's a puppet. Some may argue that all politicians are puppets of money, but I like to say that's a cold take. After people find out about the former president's current status on being a real-life, actual puppet, things start, and this will sound strange, things start to take a turn for the weird. Build-A-Bear will begin selling Jimmy Carter dolls, but the dolls look too much like Jimmy Carter, and thus millions of 5-year-olds will have essentially stolen a man's identity without hesitation or acknowledgement. We'll breed a whole new generation of criminals. What becomes outside of our clairvoyant sphere? Maybe we'll come back to it, or maybe it will bomb and we'll move on. However, now we'd like to come back to it, of it being what it means to be a puppet. In ways, we're all puppets. After leaving the ex-missus, I got hooked on heroin so bad, I slow banged a Hooked on Phonics book just to amuse any man who'd give me a hit of that dirty, stinky needle arm. Wasn't I a puppet then? Then meaning 4 hours before this recording. You, the audience, I see you're all slaves of your phones. Maybe the segment has just droned on for far too long and y'all need a distraction. Maybe it's a little early 2000s conspiracy. Say we're all puppets. But at least we can definitively say that Jimmy Carter is one. Speaking of things that are fake, #1 Nick Jr. fan Drake was in the news this past week. Drake's dad Dennis said in an interview that the rapper and child play fanatic made up lyrics about him being a deadbeat dad in order to sell his records. Drake, himself a deadbeat dad, responded by saying that his dad can't handle the truth. And I, 18 years behind on child support, now feel validated in gaslighting my whiny little accident.
What the hell, Dad?
As a fan of the hip-hops, I'm very disappointed in Drake. If he's making up his backstory, then what other little white lies has he told? What if Drake said, "You the best I ever had," but is actually a virgin? What if Drake said, "You only live once," but he's already dead? We here at Next Week Now predict that not only are the lyrics fake, Drake himself is fake. When Aubrey Graham's character was shot in Degrassi, The Next Generation, a disgruntled PA switched out the prop gun for a real gun. In a widespread conspiracy involving the Canadian government, NAFTA, and the NAACP, Drake's twitching corpse and decaying brain were scanned and turned into a hologram controlled by AI. For in-person appearances, the body itself would remain intact and controlled Weekend at Bernie's style, with his beard covering up all the decay and rot. Holograms would be used for stage performances and talk show interviews. A mix of both hologram and puppet corpse were used for his semifinal 2019 NBA appearances. While Drake's dad came forth with the shocking information last week, Drake was left in emotional turmoil. We predict that after months of deliberation, he will officially come out as an AI. Although Drake will be immediately championed by what the kids call Stan Twitter and hailed as a progressive icon, Drake will release an album consisting purely of Morse code and loud beeping noises, immediately topping the Billboard Top 100. In the coming months, Hollow Drake will get a book tour for his debut memoir, I Died, Blow Me, as well as a children's show that cannot be shown on YouTube. Drake will then tour with Hatsune Miku, and the digital duo will release new music under the Owo label. Millie Bobby Brown and the Drake hologram will officially start dating, resulting in a legal controversy regarding the age of consent if a person is literally dead and is a puppeted corpse. The courts will rule in favor on the basis that you can't take Viagra, which in my opinion, no reason to live. The rest of the music industry will react to the new Drake, as they always have to Drake, which is to say not at all. As for his own people, Drake's dad will develop a relationship with his hologram son after grief, while his mom will enter a romantic relationship with the iconic Tupac hologram. I think the moral of the story is that everyone should follow my lead and get snipped. However, unlike me, let off a few rounds to make sure you're shooting blanks first. You might say, Cameron, aren't you making too many jokes about Drake being a pedophile? Or to say, maybe Drake should stop acting like a pedophile. Because if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, sure as hell ain't asking for consent. I'll take this one step further. We here at Next Week Now formally denounce pedophiles. Now it's time to see Next Week Now correspondents try their hand at tabling.